We are approaching the vertical descent phase 2, which will have the lander module hovering at nearly 150 meters above
जी
the
हाँ,
lunar surface.
जी हाँ, आप इस तालियों के गड़गड़ाहट को सुन सकते हैं, जो कि सेकंड हाइब्रिड फेज के कंप्लीट होने के बाद इन सारे वैज्ञानिकों के द्वारा की जा रही है। जी हाँ, आप अगर फिर से ध्यान से देखें तो एल्टीट्यूड पुनः कम होता जा रहा है। अभी हम लोग लगभग 135 मीटर की ऊंचाई पे हैं।
The sensors that are updating at this point are providing confirmation of the safety of the landing site.
As expected, the retargeting is going on, and this is a very good signature for the lander. अभी आप ये देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई लगभग 65 मीटर के आसपास बची हुई है।
Currently, only 2 engines are now being fired, and we are nearly at zero velocity, vertical and horizontal. We were hovering, and now we are approaching the moon's surface.
धीरे धीरे लैंडर की वेगमान को कम किया जा रहा है और हम अब लगभग 50 मीटर से भी कम आ चुके हैं।
We can see the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us, and he is critically looking at the visuals.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल
People are applauding. Let us all wait to hear from the Secretary Department of Space and Chairman ISRO, Shri S. Somnath.
लैंडर मॉड्यूल पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा के सतह पे लैंड हो चुका है। ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है। हिंदी में एक कहावत है कि चंदा मामा दूर के, लेकिन अब हम ये कह सकते हैं कि चंदा मामा अपने घर के।
बहुत ही उम्दा. The hard work of the entire ISRO community has come to fruition.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, नमस्कार. Sir, we have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon. Sir, I request our Honorable Prime Minister to address us and bless us. Thank you, sir.
मेरे प्यारे परिवारजनों, जब हम अपनी आंखों के सामने ऐसा इतिहास बनते हुए देखते हैं तो जीवन धन्य हो जाता है। ऐसी ऐतिहासिक घटनाएं
There we have it. India has done something that no other country has been able to do. Not the United States of America, not Russia, not China. They have successfully put a lander on the south pole of the moon. A massive moment for the Indian Space Research Organisation as we see Narendra Modi speaking to the Mission Control Room, who he's been monitoring from the BRICS summit in South Africa. And a huge round of applause broke out, huge cheers for when the moment happened where India, the first ever nation to successfully land on the south pole of the moon. Well, Christopher Consolis, Professor of Extragalactic Astronomy at the University of Manchester, has also been watching on. First of all, Christopher, what do you make? How big a moment is this for space exploration?
It's a huge moment. So all the congratulations to the Indian Space Agency for doing this. This is a remarkable thing. And as you said, it's something that hasn't really been done before. Of course, other countries have been to the moon, but not to this location on the moon, where there's a lot of interesting science and a lot of interesting discoveries that could be made. And so India should very much be applauded for this.
Can you just explain to us what sort of discoveries are they hoping to make here? I know there's been talk that there might be potentially frozen water in this part of the moon. What would that mean if they were to discover frozen water there?
So there's a couple of things that are interesting about that. So if you have water, it has a lot of potentials for not only just science, but also for things about, colonizing the moon, for using the moon as a resource, because water is very important, not just for life, but for doing any kind of activities. It could be very useful. So there's that. But also the south end of the moon, the south pole of the moon is very, very dark and it's very cold. It's negative 240 Celsius. So it's very cold. And so it really kind of froze in the formation of the solar system at that time, because not much has been happening at that part of the moon since the moon was formed 5 billion years ago or so. And so if you can study the properties of the moon at that location, study what's in the ground, study what's in the atmosphere, study the seismic activity that has happened and that is happening, then you can learn quite a bit about the formation of the moon, but also the formation of the entire solar system. And so since this location is so messed with in a sense, then it has the secrets of the past. And so this is one of the main reasons why it's gone there.
And what would it mean? I know there's been a lot of talk about the missions to Mars over the next decade or so. What would it mean for that?
So the more we understand about the moon, the more we're going to understand about the solar system. And so Mars is obviously the next step in that process. And so if we can figure out something about the moon, about how its atmosphere works, about how its structure was formed, then we'll know a little bit more about perhaps how it has happened on Mars. And then when we go to Mars, we'll have much more information about what to expect and about what kind of things we might find there. And it all builds on each other. And so by knowing about the moon, we can learn about Mars and also the Earth in some ways, although the Earth is much more geologically active than the moon, of course. But we're just learning more and more about it, and it will tell us a lot more about Mars and what we can expect to find and what we might want to search for once we get to Mars to understand it even better.
Now that the Vikram lander has made it to the surface of the moon intact, once the dust settles there, what is the next step? I understand there's a rover on board, and that's going to be a big part about doing scientific experiments and getting it back to Earth and finding out a little bit more. Can you just take us through the next, I guess, week or so, what will be done there?
Right. So the timeline will depend somewhat on tests and various communications that the Indian Space Agency will do with the lander and the rover. But once everything looks stable, then the rover will be dispatched and the experiments will occur. And those will happen for some time. I'm not exactly sure for how long those experiments will go on. But I imagine it'll be for a bit of time.
And I know the landing date has been very carefully selected to coincide with the start of a lunar day. Can you just explain to the layperson like myself exactly what that entails and why that is so important?
Right. So the lunar day is basically it's an equivalent to the way that we have a day, where basically the moon goes around the Earth, which produces this apparent day on the moon, and you want to be able to do things at certain points.
Sorry to interrupt, Christopher. We're just going to listen into
Sure.
Narendra Modi now.
It's not just India's alone. This is a year in which the world is witnessing India's G20 presidency. Our approach of one Earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This human-centric approach that we present and that we represent has been welcomed universally. Our moon mission is also based on the same human-centric approach. Therefore, this success belongs to all of humanity, and it will help moon missions by other countries in the future. I am confident that all countries in the world, including those from the global south, are capable of achieving such feats. We can all aspire for the moon and beyond. मेरे परिवारजनों, चंद्रयान महाअभियान के ये उपलब्धि भारत की उड़ान को चंद्रमा की कक्षाओं से आगे जाएगी. हम हमारे
OK, if you are just joining us, that is the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has been monitoring developments from the BRICS summit in South Africa after the Indian Space Research Organisation successfully, the first successful mission ever to land a lunar lander on the South Pole.